Hi everyone, my name is Katie.
And my name is Tatiana, and we are here with Citizens Climate Classes. So, Citizens Climate Classes, if you don't already know, is a local community committed to combating climate change through everyday sustainability practices and kind of educating each other and learning from each other on how we can do better to reduce our carbon footprint. And even further, I want to also say that Citizens Climate Classes is committed to the Black Lives Matter movement. One of the reasons that we're having this video and having this format of me and Katie is because we want to be able to foster an inclusive environment and know that sustainability is something that is for everybody, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of ethnicity and everything. So my hair, which is obviously ethnic hair, and Katie's hair are going to be quite different in the way that we're treating it.
And if you want to get involved in Citizens Climate Classes, we're happy to have you watching these videos and practicing these sustainability tips. But if you're interested in getting involved, it is very important to go vote. And you can also join a group called Citizens Climate Lobby. Citizens Climate Classes is a branch of Citizens Climate Lobby. And Citizens Climate Lobby is a nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots advocacy organization focused on national policies to address climate change. Its main focus is a bill called HR 763, which will impose a carbon fee on fossil fuels and which returns dividends from the carbon fees to American citizens. So kind of like Citizens Climate Classes, we're here to support sustainability practices and also laws that will include all American citizens because this planet is for everybody. So
Love that.
So today, Tati and I are going to be digging into how we treat our hair. And one of the things that is harmful, not only to the environment, but also to ourselves are oftentimes a lot of the products and gunk that we end up putting on our skin and in our hair. Not to mention the fact that it always comes in plastic bottles that end up getting thrown away. So today I will be focusing on a weekly scalp exfoliation and moisturizing technique that I use. Strong, healthy hair comes from a healthy scalp. So on a weekly basis, I do what I call my scalp reset. Additionally, sometimes when I'm stressed, my hair will get kind of oily and my scalp will get some flaky patches. This is kind of one of my physical stress tells. So I usually know when that's going on, I probably need to do more than one scalp reset so I can continue to have nice, healthy hair.
Yeah,
So,
and obviously my hair is quite different from Katie's, but I do also recommend Katie's if you do have dry scalp, because even I do, and Katie's treatment also works for that. But for mine specifically, I have black hair, as you might be able to see, that is usually quite dry. And that's just kind of an evolutionary byproduct of, my ancestors and the fact that they lived in a lot more humid temperatures. So the way that my hair has been evolutionized through time is that it's just a lot more dry. So what I'm going to be doing today is having a mask that I do about daily, just with products that you can find around your house. Again, sustainability is not something that is for only a certain subset of the population. It's something that's for everybody. So today, all I'm going to be using is olive oil, eggs, Greek yogurt, and a little bit of water.
and yeah, Tati, you absolutely hit it on the nail. I will also be using products from in and around the house. As you said, sustainability isn't about buying the newest product that calls itself sustainable, be it hair care or skincare products or other bits and pieces to use around your house. It's finding the things that you've been using and finding ways to repurpose them if they no longer can be used for what they were originally intended for, or using them for other things as well. So I'll be using today some lavender, sorry, not olive oil. I'll be using lavender essential oil, baking soda, and apple cider vinegar. So we might as well get started. All right, so in my routine, I have been trying to stray from using products that come in plastic bottles, are full of chemicals. So one of my sustainability things that I'm thinking about is if I'm going to put something on my body, could it be something that I could potentially eat or cook with, which is why, as I said earlier, I'll be using baking soda, lavender essential oil, and apple cider vinegar. All things that can be baked with, probably not something that you'd want to eat raw though. So I'll get started with my scalp mix, and then I'll turn it over to Tati as she gets going with hers. So my I'll be using baking soda. As we were saying, a lot of these products are generally pretty cheap. Today I'm using Arm & Hammer, which is about $1.30 per box. I personally like to use the Trader Joe's brand just because it has a little plastic top, so it keeps for a lot longer. Keep in mind, you will be using only about 1 tablespoon of this, so if you're using this exclusively to do your hair, you're probably going to have this box for quite a while. I will also be using essential oils. I tend to get the 365, the ones that you can buy at Whole Foods. This is probably the priciest product. It's about $13, but I use my lavender essential oil multiple times per week, and I have had this bottle for probably 1.5 years. So you don't need very much. It goes a long way. And then finally, apple cider vinegar. This is pretty cheap. It's probably going to be $2 to $3 a bottle. You can also get the option that has the mother in it, and that's going to be slightly more expensive, but once again, maybe $4 or $5 depending on how many ounces. So so a 32 ounce bottle will probably be close to $2 to $3, and with the mother, $4 to $5. And what ingredients will you be using?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm really gonna need a lot of moisture here. So some of the ingredients that I will be using is I'm gonna be using 2 eggs, which is really good for protein and getting that in your hair. Olive oil, just simple olive oil. Greek yogurt, also pretty easy to get at the grocery store. And I'm actually gonna follow your lead as well and use a little bit of lavender oil just because it smells nice.
It does. How much do each of those things cost, Tati?
Oh goodness. I actually have no idea, but probably all together, I can't imagine that it would cost more than $10.
And you're like using that over and over again, right?
Yeah. So like I said, this is a weekly mask that I do. I apply it on my hair. I keep it in for a couple of hours, and then I rinse it out, and my hair is far more moisturized.
All right. So mine actually takes a few extra steps. So I'm going to jump in, and then when I have to do some rinses, I'll turn it over to Tati. So as Tati said a little bit earlier, the routine that I'm using actually does work on all hair types. And I would recommend finding your own number of times that you use it, especially when it comes to the scalp paste with baking soda that I will be making. I tend to use this once a week, but I could sometimes use it more. For example, when I'm having kind of a stress oily scalp outbreak, and I do sometimes use it less, especially in the summer when it's humid outside. I notice that my scalp is not needing to be reset as often, and it's kind of as moisturized as needed. Now, keep in mind, our scalps are naturally acidic. The pH is between 2 and 3, and that's to kill bacteria. Now, baking soda, on the other hand, is naturally alkaline, about pH 9. So you want to keep your scalp nice and clean, but you don't want to turn this into like a shampoo, conditioner, daily routine, because that's something that will absolutely do the opposite of a reset and a cleansing, and will actually kind of mess up the natural scalp chemistry that you have. So my first step is to dampen my hair, which I will do in just a minute. And then I will make a baking soda and lavender essential oil paste. So I'm going to get going with getting my hair damp and turn it over to Dottie.
Cool. Thanks, Katie. So as you can see, I parted my hair a bit just so I can section it off as to where I'm going to start applying the mask. But first, got to mix everything. So like I said, going to be using these eggs here, and I'm going to put those in first in my bowl. And as I mentioned, this is really good because of the protein aspect of it on your hair. it will strengthen the follicles. And so get the eggs. Now I'm gonna grab some Greek yogurt. And this is all based on your own hair type. I'm doing what works best for me, which is usually I need a lot of moisture. But if you do have a little bit more moisture than what I usually have, feel free to add more. But I'm adding about 1 scoop. And then here's another scoop of Greek yogurt. They're pretty hefty. And then, best part of this is you just eat it, whatever. Doesn't go in the bowl. And then I'm gonna add the olive oil, like I talked about before. So again, use what's best for your hair. I'm gonna add about 2 spoonfuls. All right. So I got this all here in my bowl. And I have this cute little thing, and I'm just gonna mix it all together. And what you're gonna end up getting is sort of a paste. I unfortunately don't really have a brush to be able to put it in a really effective way. So what I'm going to be using is just my hands in applying it to my hair. But any way that you want to do is fine, of course. But I am going to be having a towel around my shoulders just so I don't get my shirt too dirty. But all right, so here we actually have it. I don't know how much you can see, but we got a pretty good paste here. And like I said, I add a little bit of lavender, just so it smells good, and it actually does have some moisturizing elements to it. So I'm just gonna put a couple drops in. Bing bong. We're good to go. How's the rinsing, Katie?
Rinsing is good. I'm rinsing in my sink today because I don't have any shower heads that unhook. So it's quite the ordeal every single time. So I will, as Tati is starting to—
I'm gonna match you.
Yeah, I know. A little towel capes. As Tati starts to apply her scalp mask, I will mix mine up, and then I'll also just be applying. So it'll be kind of a nice hair care fest up in this video. So mine is a little less mixing, and I am a little bit less precise with my measurements, but I'm going to give you the roundabout measurement and then show you just kind of how I do this. So I always start with my baking soda. I would recommend about 1 tablespoon. I usually, because I am mixing this when I am in the shower, I usually just eyeball it, and I put a little bit in the palm of my hand. So just to show you, that's about what I have. Now, you won't just put baking soda directly onto your scalp, then you will dampen it a little bit. So I'm going to just run a little bit of water into it to kind of get it into looking more like a paste. And then the coup de grace is the lavender essential oil. Now I add between 6 and 8 drops. It's a little bit imperfect when you are in the shower and trying to drop in. So I just try and give it about 6 or 8 shakes. And then I mix it all together. I'm going to add just a little bit more baking powder.
And on my side, I don't know how much you can tell, but I actually put just like a little bit of water on my hair when I'm sectioning it off, just so I can brush through it first. And then I'm applying the mask here, just strand by strand, and making sure I don't have any snarls.
And so then my final paste will look like that. This is when it's all mixed together. And when I'm about to put it onto my scalp, before I kind of like put it on my fingers as though it's a shampoo, I just push it up to my fingertips. So then I will also start to apply mine. And as I was doing this, and Tati, I know you and I have talked about this a bunch of times, but natural hair care is a ton of research and a ton of experimentation. You might find a video and you're like, this sounds great, or a product and you're like, this sounds great. And until you try it and use it and are able to kind of confirm for yourself, it's really hard to see how things will react. But one thing that I would recommend based on the research that I have done is I have found people talking about using baking soda for their hair, but they talk about running it through their hair. And I would recommend that the baking soda paste that you're going to put on should really just be kept to your scalp. It's really meant to cleanse and purify the scalp. And if it's run through the hair, it will dry your hair out. So I would keep it just to the scalp. What I usually do is when I'm applying it, it looks like Tati starts at the base of her scalp and runs all the way through. I'll be doing kind of the opposite because I'll just be sticking to my scalp. And what I do is I usually just start right at like the front of my hairline. And then I usually kind of go from the outside all around my scalp and in toward the center. But I would also recommend, if you know that you have kind of trouble spots or dry spots or oily patches on your scalp, you can also try and just specifically target those. So Tati, about how long does it take for you to apply your hair mask?
Good question. Now that I'm a little bit more used to it and I know usually about what measurements I use, probably doesn't take more than 15 minutes, but I do leave it on for, like I said, a couple hours. And when I am leaving it in, I tend to put a shower cap on just so the moisture is staying within my hair. Do know that this is plastic, which is not great, but you can reuse it over and over again, which is okay.
Right. And that's exactly like what we've been talking about with sustainability, right? It's not having the like perfect silk and most environmentally friendly shower cap. It's the fact that you don't throw that away when you're done with it, you know?
Exactly. And one thing I do actually want to note with mine, which could be a big no-no for people, is that when you're rinsing it out, make sure you're rinsing it out with cold water, because this is made of egg, which means that it could potentially cook if you're using hot water or you're keeping it too hot.
Oh my goodness.
In the shower, and it could get really sticky and gross on your hair. So make sure that you are keeping things aerated and making sure you're using cold water when you're rinsing it out.
I wouldn't have even thought that like the egg would like cook a little bit. Yeah, that would be very difficult.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way, I'm not gonna lie. Like somebody did tell me about this recipe before and they're like, make sure you use cold water. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't. And then I was like, oh, this is pretty gross.
Oh no.
Yeah. So word to the wise.
Now, I guess like if someone were to use it and, like forget or just decide to use hot water and then end up in that bind, how did you get the egg out?
Oh, I mean, it was fine. Like I did just rinse it out.
Okay.
And I like shampooed it and everything. So it was like I said, it was fine. It just did not fulfill the purpose of what I was using the mask for. So if you want it to be, the really moisturizing purpose of what you're trying to do, then rinse with cold water. And actually, in terms of conditioning, you should be conditioning with cold water anyways, at least for my hair type, I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I have applied mine. I just started around the edge of my face and then around the edge of my hairline. I moved everything in, washed off the excessive paste on my fingers. And I would say you can leave in this baking soda scalp mask for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Like I said, I'm usually applying this when I'm already in the shower. So I might put it on, wash my face, and then take it off. Generally, I find that if this is just my routine and I'm doing it on my once a week basis, then 30 seconds is fine. If I am having issues with having an oily scalp or kind of a breakout, as I call it, then I generally will let it sit a little bit longer, but no need to let it sit more than 2 minutes because you also don't want to excessively dry anything out. So I'm going to once again rinse and turn everything back over to Tati.
Have fun. So as you see, I'm still going at this, but you can see a little bit here how my ringlets are coming out and how things are getting just a little bit moisturized here. Of course, it's going to be inevitably a little bit more moisturized because I'm applying water to my hair, but the paste is doing a really good job of accentuating my curls because it is sticking to each one of these little strands. And I don't know how much you can be seeing how much I'm doing this, but to make sure that I'm having an even coverage across all my hair, so I don't have one section that's really moisturized and one that's not, I am putting my fingers through my hair pretty consistently, just so I'm not missing anything. Back of the hair is always the hardest, but that is life. But like Katie said, here at Citizens Climate Classes, we're just trying to do our best in terms of sustainability practices. Nobody's perfect at this, and we're just trying to do better every day. So if you wanted to learn more, of course, follow us on our Twitter, our Instagram, our YouTube. We do pretty simple things just like this pretty often, at least once or twice a month. So if you're interested in doing more sustainable practices and learning about that, make sure to follow our pages. Also, if you want to be more involved with it, maybe you're feeling like you want to be doing more at this time. Maybe there's just so much going on in the world that you're feeling a little helpless or powerless. Like, getting involved with climate classes is really good way to feel better that you're doing something in your everyday life that is contributing to society. At least I know it has for me.
No, I hear you, Toddy. I think, I was raised to be very environmentally conscious, but it kind of hit me about a year ago that even though I was thinking a lot, I wasn't doing as much as I could. Mm-hmm. And that's what brought me to this group, and it's been wonderful. And not only if you feel like you want to get more involved and learn more, but if you feel like you have things to teach us, we are so happy to hear your questions and also your comments. So please make sure you take time to comment and give us some feedback and let us know if you have done these things and if you have other hair or skin tips and tricks. We'd love to hear from you.
True.
So I am now rinsed. It doesn't take too terribly much to get it out. As I said, you don't want to run that baking soda through your hair, but when you're doing the rinse out process, it's totally fine, also unavoidable. So no worries about that. I'm going to move to the second part of my routine, which is the kind of conditioning part. So the scalp and baking soda part really helps to clean off that scalp, but you don't want to just leave it after having done that. Trust me, I actually tried that for a couple weeks where I only did the baking soda part, and it dried my scalp up a lot. So you really want to do this next part. Now, the great part about the vinegar rinse is that the vinegar rinse can actually be done all on its own, and it is extremely effective on its own. So what it does is it conditions your scalp and your hair, and just helps to remove any sort of dirt, grime. If you have like product buildup, I definitely get a lot of that. I have curly hair, so I'm putting product in to kind of help keep those curls stay curly, I guess, for most of the day. And so it's nice to have this. The first time I ever tried this rinse, so much, I did not realize I had so much buildup, but it came out and was like on my shower, and I like slipped on my way out of the shower. It was just like soap and stuff. And so you don't really realize that it's there because our bodies really put up with a lot for us. So, but it's great. It's a nice reset. And now that I do it on a regular basis, I can really feel that my scalp and my hair just really grow in. I love getting compliments from my hairdresser. So when she's like, wow, everything seems very healthy, I'm like, thank you so much. I worked so hard on this. So this rinse is really, really simple. You're going to take your apple cider vinegar. You're not going to apply it directly, just like baking soda. It's a total help, but it would be a little bit harmful if it's just applied directly. So what I usually do is I just grab a nice plastic cup. I use a pint glass generally because I know that it's 16 ounces. And you're going to pour about a 1/4 cup into the glass. Once again, because I'm doing this in the shower, I'm usually kind of eyeballing it. And then you're going to dilute with water. So I'll pour it in and then fill the glass up the rest of the way. And then I will apply. Now, fun fact about this trick, I actually learned this from my mom, who learned this from her mom, who I have to assume probably learned it from her mom. And it is great. It really is wonderful for just conditioning and helping to remove that buildup. Now, I would recommend flipping over your hair and kind of pouring from the base of your scalp to the front, but you can also just tilt your head back. Really, the whole thing is that you want to get a nice full coverage over your scalp and your hair, and that will help to get things out. But like I said, if you have a lot of buildup, it's probably better to just have it go straight off of your head. So I'm going to do that, but because I'm filming in my bathroom and it's actually pretty hard to film in a bathroom, I'm just going to do this off screen. So once again, though, before I do that, I'll flip over my hair, and I will start to pour just from the base, and it'll just drain right down.
And so while Katie's doing that, I am still going about it here, getting all of my edges and getting right down to the root here. So while Katie and I's hairs are quite different in terms of our actual hair, our scalp is a little bit more similar. So from what I read and from what I personally know, this may not be true for everybody, but the apple cider vinegar recipe that she's also doing does actually cross over a bit into my hair as a mixed race woman. So I could recommend doing that as well, because it's weird for me personally because I have both dry scalp and dry hair, but sometimes the same things that help my dry hair don't help my dry scalp, and some of the things that help my dry scalp don't help my hair. So it's a good idea to try to figure out what works for you, but it's really easy to do in a sustainable manner and not having to buy some of the products that you usually do. Because I know when I was in college, a lot of people of color use something that's called co-washing, which is basically kind of what I'm doing right now. So that means that you're conditioning halfway through the time that you normally do your shampoo and conditioner. So instead of doing the co-washing, I actually tend to do this, and it does help quite a bit. And it also reduces what I'm buying and, you know, of course, my plastic use.
That's awesome. And yeah, so I've just run it through now, and I'm going to wait. Once again, this really does not have to set very long on your hair. 30 seconds is fine. So if I'm in the shower, put it on, wash my body, and then be able to rinse it out again. So definitely make sure you don't use it like stay-in shampoo. You will want to rinse it out. Some people do get worried because it is apple cider vinegar. They worry that it could, that their hair will smell like apple cider vinegar for the rest of the day. You will not smell like a pickle for the rest of the day. It will dissipate. That's one of the nice parts about it. But if you're very, very worried about the smell, or if you have a particularly sensitive nose and you are like, even if people can't smell me, I can smell myself, I don't think that it dissipated. Sometimes what I'll do is after I will wash my hair, I will probably put in product for the day, so that can help to cut down the smell. Or if you still want a little bit extra, you can condition your hair again with your normal conditioner. Usually though, if I do that, I make sure to only stick to my hair. But I really try to not do that, because the whole point of this hair routine is to kind of give your scalp that reset and that break. So if I can, I do it on a Saturday or a Sunday when I don't have plans. Not that I won't be leaving the house, but I don't have to look pretty to go wherever I'm going, because it's not.
You look pretty always, Katie.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. So I don't have to look. I'm not about to interview a client, for example, or go into work. Which. Fortunately, no one's really going into work right now. So I usually will just do this on a day when my scalp can get a full break and a full reset. But you know, totally, once again, these are all suggestions. So take them and leave them as you will. And if you're comfortable with doing this, but also want to add in that conditioner or want to add back in that product afterwards, you do you. All right, I'm going to give it one more rinse and leave it to Toddy to wrap up.
Yeah, it's actually similar to what Katie said. And I know we've been saying this entire time, but it's also always dependent on your own hair. So this treatment that I'm doing right now works for my hair. I've also seen other people use like honey. I've seen some people use avocado oil. So all good options. These are just one of them that you can use, but always just try to keep in mind that you don't have to go to the store and buy these expensive products and be using the plastics and the packaging materials that you are using to be able to get good healthy hair, that you can just do it at home and in a way that's good for the planet, which is what we're really just going for here anyways. So as you can see here, I'm about done. Looks like everything's basically been accounted for. Got my strands. So I'm gonna get a last good finger comb through. And I'm just going to put it up into a pony. And then put my shower cap on. And I'm going to look very cool. Like I said, I just have this for a couple hours and then, what are you saying, Katie?
No, I was gonna say, Tati, you also always look beautiful, so this doesn't have to be a weekend routine for you.
Yeah, this is what I call the lunch lady, which is quite cool from where I come from. But anyways, like I said, I just keep this on for a couple hours, so I'm actually probably going to go back to work here with this on and just go about my day. And then once I hit a couple hours, I'll shower and I'll rinse it all out and I'll be good to go.
And yeah, I'm gonna have another shower after this and kind of do one final rinse, but my hair doesn't look any different. It's all rinsed out though, but I can tell you from where I'm standing, I do not smell any apple cider vinegar for anyone who is not yet a true believer. But as Tati was saying a little bit earlier, and just as a reminder, thank you so much for tuning in on this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please follow Citizens Climate Classes on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle on both of those is @ClimateClasses. We also have a Facebook page, Citizen Climate Classes. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Citizens Climate Classes DC, which is where this video will be posted. We talk about a lot of easy ways for people to reduce their waste and emissions, from cooking all the way to fashion. So not all videos will be exactly like this. But we do also, as Tati and I have talked about, want to make sure that we are engaging with you and answering your questions. So please comment, DM us with questions you have, ideas. And if you'd like to get involved, we'd be happy to have you. This planet needs all of the help that it can get.
Nice note, Katie. Love that.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks all. Bye.